What are the best towers in Bloons TD6? Well, I think the answer to that question is a little bit subjective, but these past few months, I would say, I've been noticing myself using a certain set of towers more than others. So I wanted to showcase and I wanted to talk about my 3 favorite towers, but we're gonna take it slowly today. So we're playing Chimps mode on Monkey Meadow. This is not gonna be like a super sweaty run or anything like that. I just wanted to talk about my favorite towers, why I use them, and what makes them so special. And before we get going, I want to remind you guys to use code EAT&READ in the Blue store. There's an amazing sale going on with the tier 5 Insta Monkeys, and unfortunately it's only gonna last for about, I would say, maybe like 15-16 hours you're gonna have remaining since the time that I get this video up. So if you guys are buying yourself a gift, don't forget to use that code. And let's just jump back into a video with the first tower, which is going to be the Druid. Now this Druid is, well, you guys know what path I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about the middle path. Ever since they made it work the way it does, which is summon vines when you get the Druid of the jungle, it's all been downhill from there. It's all been nerfed, with the exception of the jungle's bounty getting a little bit of a buff. But other than that, this third tier has just been getting nerfed because it was just way too strong. It had way too much pierce. It was able to pop lead balloons without the hard thorns upgrade. And then what they did is they removed the lead popping power without the hard thorns on the vines, but the Druid of the jungle vines themselves could still hold balloons. So it was just an amazing tower overall. And eventually they got the pierce down, they took care of the lead problem, but still it is just a great tower because once you buy this thing, you don't have to worry about basically anything in the early game. So let me get the Druid of the jungle, let me get the hard thorns, and bam, there we go. We have nothing to worry about when it comes to the small balloons and the lead balloons, which is gonna be, actually this thing is so decent that, you know, on longer maps it even takes care of everything by itself, probably well into the 30s, right? But I'm not gonna stop there with this tower. I'm actually gonna get the jungle's bounty, and even though the Druid of the jungle is probably just the most cost efficient upgrade out of the two, I still like buying the jungle's bounty sometimes. Like for example, I did my Glacial Trail Chimps run and I bought the jungle's bounty, that one, because what this thing allows you to do is it grabs 2 balloons and the vines now do double damage, so they do 2 damage instead of 1. Now if you're playing on a non-chimps mode, what this tower does is it additionally gains lives, and for each life it gets, it gains pierce, and that pierce also translates into the vine. So this is just an amazing tower, guys. This is just, what an insane tower they've made this thing to be. So now before I upgrade this thing to the jungle's bounty, I actually want to buy the second tower, which you guys might have guessed what it is, but it is going to be the, well, we're going to start with the Moab share, and then it's going to be the entire Millipede Spike Factory. This thing is insane. They actually made this thing way too good, and they even nerfed it in the last update, in update 40. They took away 1 damage from it, so now it does 8, I think. But overall, it jumped from 4, I think it was, to 8 damage. That's essentially double damage for the exact same price, and it was good before, but nowadays I think that this tower just straight up broke it. So the way that you would want to use this thing is, because the spikes are so strong, as soon as the Moab just touches these spikes, it's gonna pop. You guys are gonna see in a second, because we have no actual, solid Moab class popping power. So as soon as the Moab rolls in around 40, and as soon as it just touches the spikes, it's gone. It's gonna pop in a second. So we got the money for a jungle's bounty, by the way, so let me buy this thing. And now let's just watch this Moab to show you guys how strong these spikes have become. So it's around 40. That's only 1 set of spikes. That's 2. And yeah, that's basically 3 sets of spikes is all you need to pop a Moab, which is just insane. So I guess the way that you want to place this tower is a little bit further from the entrance, because you want to give it a little bit time to generate spikes so that the Moabs can bump into them. But at the same time, you don't want to be having it, towards the back or something like that, because the main attack also becomes stronger as you upgrade it to a carpet of spikes. So now the Spike Storm is an amazing ability. You're going to have basically an on-demand button, which is going to wipe out the entire map. And now because we bought the jungle's bounty, I think it's just time to get the Spike Storm going as well. And honestly, the way that I do this with the Druid, I just keep it as a 1-4-0, because we don't necessarily need the Heart of Thunder. This is just extra AoE, but we don't care about AoE because these vines are just super strong by themselves. Now, tower number 3 that I want to buy before the 50s start rolling in is actually the Relentless Glue. Now, I do believe that the Relentless Glue might be a little bit too strong, or at least one of the two. It's either too strong or it's underpriced, because I don't think that you should be able to do this for such a cheap price. I mean, it does everything. Not only that it slows the balloons, but it also stuns them. But this tower, the way that they reworked it is very interesting, actually. So now each time a glued bloom pops, it stuns everything around them. But when they actually made this change for the first time, the tower was bugged. So the stun was affecting BFBs and ZOMGs, and it was not supposed to do that. It was only supposed to affect Moabs and DDTs, and now it's fixed. But come on guys, look at this thing. Look at just the amount of stall and slow the one tower is capable of doing. This essentially means, look at this, this is round 55, this is a bunch of ceramics, and these ceramics are just being held in place thanks to one single tower. So these 3 towers that you guys are seeing right here are my favorites of update 40. And you can basically do whatever you want. I mean, they're a staple in not only just normal gameplay, but in Chimps runs in general. So for example, this is cheap Moab class popping power. You can deal with around 100. It can deal with, you know, the usual, the small Moabs that come out in these early rounds. The Druid is amazing cleanup, and you just don't have to worry about anything as long as you give it, you know, things like Camo, which I forgot to give it, but let's do it now. And, you know, the Relentless Glue is just this stun slash utility tower that you always want to have, and it's good in every scenario. So that is why these are my 3 favorite towers. And what I want to do for the rest of the run is, I think I'm just going to stick with them. I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not even going to buy an Alchemist or anything like that. I'm just going to try and upgrade them to their 5th tiers, and then we're just gonna see if they are gonna be able to hold on, which I'm pretty sure that they are, because these towers are actually really strong even if you upgrade them to the 5th tiers. Just take a look at the stun happening right now. We're around 62 and there is a 45 Moab that hasn't been able to move for a very long time, and even though it has not been popped, it was just kept there the entire time, and now the spikes just take over. But now we have a more interesting round, which is round 63. So besides the jungle's bounty and maybe the stun from the glue, we don't have that many things to deal with this round. So I'm going to be ready with Quincy's ability. And on longer maps, you can definitely defeat... Oh my god, it's going to be it by itself, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was the entire wave, but you know what? I think that we're going to have to use the ability for the second one. Yeah, this tower is way too good. I mean, I don't even have the Heart of Thunder, which is probably not going to do that much. But come on, dude, this is just like a, what is it, like a $7,000 tower that just almost solos the entire round 63, but it's also good versus small balloons. Let's just watch round 72 and what's happening. So there are going to be a bunch of BFBs. These guys obviously released some Moabs, and let's see how we're going to do with these Moabs. As soon as they appear, they're going to start getting stunned, right? Yeah, look at this thing. So 4 Moabs and everything is just being stunned, being kept in place. Yeah, this is just the power of the Relentless Glue. It's an amazing tower. A bunch of Moabs coming in, and again, they just get slowed by the Moab glue, and then you guys know what it is. So we're kind of getting a lot of cash right now, and I'm thinking whether I want to buy the Carpet of Spikes or the Spirit of the Forest. And I think that I'm going to go for the Spirit of the Forest first, and then we're going to get the Carpet of Spikes. And I just want to mention that this is not exactly the tower that, even though I like the Druid of the Jungle and Jungle's Bounty, this is not what I would usually buy. So it's part of the same, it's the millipede, but the Spirit of the Forest is probably not your typical Chimps tower, honestly. Maybe, I think I bought it when I was playing a boss on an expert map, and I kind of bought it because I was playing Dark Dungeons, and because this thing's vines they go throughout the entire map, so I thought, you know, this was going to be like a nice cleanup or something like that. But besides that, like, this thing, it does a lot of stuff. It generates lives, it makes money, but I don't think it does any of those things particularly well, because you have, you know, you have different towers to deal with those stuff. Okay, so it's round 85. We just got the money for a Carpet of Spikes, and as you guys know, as soon as you upgrade it, it's going to use the passive ability, and now this thing becomes a lot stronger. Now the thing with the Carpet of Spikes is that not only that it got damage, the damage thingy was just from update 39, but in the previous updates, things that have been happening with this tower is it gaining, for example, this insane attack speed on the main attack. These spikes that it also produces have a lot more pierce, and what else was there to this thing? I think there was just like one more thing that they added to the main attack, but in general the point I guess with this tower is to not have it at the back as you would have a typical spike factory, but to kind of have it in the middle so that when these Moab class balloons bump into the spikes, they can also do a lot of damage and get popped. So this is actually a part of these super strong towers, and towers I really like in this update, unlike the Spirit of the Forest tier 5, which I would just probably stop at like the Druid of the Jungle and eventually maybe the Jungle's Bounty, but this one I like the entire cosplay. I think this one is insane, and just look at what's happening. This is round 94. I'm not even slowing the game down, by the way. This is just all these balloons coming to town and everything is popping right at just like this vertical line where all our towers are. So we got the money for the super glue, and I'm gonna buy it. You know, we bought all the tier 5, so why not? But I'm not using this tower at all, actually. I actually don't consider this tower to be particularly good, like, at all. I mean, I like everything up to that point, everything up to super glue, but not the super glue itself. I think it's just a waste of money in general. So maybe, I don't know, maybe if they rework this tower in a way that it makes it super useful, or at least a little bit more useful than it is now. But other than that, you know, it's just another stun. And this is just way too much money for what this tower does. I mean, there are so many cheaper ways that you can do what this tower does. It's actually crazy. This is gonna be round 98, and I'm just gonna chill on this one. Let me not use anything. Actually, let's see where the balloons are gonna go. So this stun is, yeah, the stun is pretty strong. And how Are they kind of keeping the Bloons there? No, I think that just the Pierce is going to get overloaded, but these guys are doing way too much damage. I mean, come on, look at this thing, guys. That was round 98 that we just evaporated. And then again, 45 DDTs, getting stunned by the Relentless Glue. And if you thought that we don't have damage with the bat, well, we do. We have a lot of damage with the bat. Let me use the Spike Storm, the active one, and then as soon as it bumps into these spikes, oh my god, look at that thing. Yeah, this is a setup and a half. Well, actually, it's probably not a setup and a half, but the towers that we have are very good. So the Carpet Spikes, again, these are my favorite towers. So the Millipede Druid, but not the Spirit of the Forest. I just want to say that one more time. I'm usually stopping at the Druid of the Jungle and maybe the Jungle's Bounty. And then I'm not buying the Super Glue, but I am buying the Relentless Glue, and I think that that's an S tier tower. And then this thing is definitely an S tier tower, and all of the cross paths leading into it. But that's gonna be it for this one. A little bit more of a chill video than usual. It's Christmas, so happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, and I will see you guys in the next one.